Hey there YouTube, welcome to the channel, or welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of our air ride video. I've been getting a little bit too much footage and clogging up the computer, so we're just going to cut it off here. We're going to cover the installation of the tank, compressor, and the electrical, that sort of thing here. Without any further babbling, we'll get right into the video. Hey there Galaxie fans, we're going to try to do some air management tonight, probably throughout the next couple days I guess actually, and we've got a few things to mount here. We've got our valve, our gauges, sending units for our air pressure. We've got our tank, our compressor. I think we're going to try to get it all mounted in the right rear of the trunk here. So we'll set the camera up and follow along. I've got a cardboard template here that I just made by poking holes through the bottom of the air tank, and then I'm going to just draw a line and a cross, which should result in this hole right here. And then I think I'm just going to run the drain actually right through the trunk of the car and out to the bottom, so that I can just drain it outside. Don't have to worry about draining water in the car. Okay, we've got our holes drilled here. I've got some larger holes drilled for my risers, and then also I had, let's see, a light. There's this cardboard liner, so we just cut a little larger hole there so that everything will sit level on the floor. And then we have our hole for our water drain in here too. Hey guys and gals, quick update on where we're at, and then we'll get busy doing some air management. I do have an Explorer rear end. This is a 31 spline 8.8 axle. It is a traction lock and has disc brakes, as you can see. The only disappointing part is it also has 220,000 miles on it. It has some issues, so we're going to just go ahead and rebuild that. But I think that's a project that's going to get moved to this winter. I would like to drive this thing a little bit this summer. The good news is my Torino wheels do fit on it, so we can just trade tires with the original Galaxie wheels. And I found the other two Torino wheels. I had loaned them to somebody, and they have ended up with some trailer tires on them. So we'll get those switched around. We have these tires, still have a little life left in them, so we'll put those back on and we'll go from there. I've got a bracket for my air pressure switches. It's a good thing that you got good friends sometimes. A couple of my buddies that I used to work with that are race car drivers, one of them has a brake. Actually, both of them have a brake, but I asked them for a 90, and this is what I ended up with. So I don't know if they've taken a few too many hits to the head in their circle jerker cars or what they've got going on, but anyway, we'll get that straightened back out. This is going to be kind of a bracket that goes underneath of the air tank, and then we'll hold our wherever they're at, our pressure switches, our pressure sensors for our four corners. So we'll get after it here. Alright, I've got a bracket built here. We'll take a look at it and see how it fits. This is where it's going to bolt to the bottom of our tank. Kind of like that. We've got a cutout for our water drain, which is going to get extended. And then here we've got holes for our mounts, where our sending units will be sitting in behind, and we've got a platform for our air valve. We'll go ahead and get that painted up and we'll get it installed. Here's our first attempt at our tank mount, but we have kind of a clearance issue. It's going to vibrate and rattle up there. I do have it loosened up a little bit right now, but it's going to hit the top of the trunk, so we're going to go down a little bit, which will also give me an opportunity to drill these holes that we need for our lines going through into the trunk, and then we will get a compressor mounted up over here. Here's a quick shot of the Swiss cheese that we made out of the trunk floor. We've got our bolt holes for the tank risers. This is where our water drain is going to be. Here's where our four air lines will come through.
ahead.
Yeah. Sure, most of you have seen or used a rivet nut before, but anybody that hasn't seen it, we'll just do a quick overview of how that works. We have our rivet nut, which we've drilled a hole. We want to put a 3/8 bolt in, and I don't have room to put a nut on the bottom side, but I do have room to squish this thing in there. So normally you would use a tool like this, and you thread your rivet nut on there, you stick it in, and you squeeze it just like a pop rivet, and it's going to suck this part up and make a good positive connection in there, and then we would have a hole right in our metal. So what we have going on, I don't have room to do that because it's inside the trunk, so I'm going to just use a bolt and tighten the nut down on it on top, and it should pull that back up in. I'll show you what we're going to do here. This is where the compressor is going to be mounted, and this goes right alongside where the body line or the trunk floor goes down. So I don't have a good spot. I have two other good holes that I can just put bolts and nuts in, but we're going to suck that in there real quick here. So we want to hold our bolt, and then as we tighten the nut, it should pull our insert up. And here's our finished product. It didn't work perfectly. I had to put a vice grip on the bottom to keep the thread insert from turning while I was finishing it up, but it is nice and solid in the hole now, so I have a good mount for my air compressor. Hey there, Galaxie fans. I spent the morning just trying to finish up some little odds and ends that previously seemed like they were hindering the progress, but now I guess they really were hindering the progress. So we decided to button that stuff up, getting the grease zerks in, getting steering tightened up, that sort of thing. I did take the brake booster back off and paint that, or the master cylinder, excuse me, and I've been running some air lines for the air ride, and then we're going to run, I was able to find a set of 4-gauge booster cables on eBay, $12.99 shipped to my door. So we're going to run those as a power wire to the trunk. We'll put a little junction block, a fuse block probably, and then we'll have power back here. I have thought about actually putting another battery back here. I don't think this compressor is going to take too much. It's protected with a 20 amp fuse, so I'm not too worried about that, but it never hurts to have enough power. So I was just going to cut these cables off, or cut the ends off. We got the old fencing pliers out, and we'll destroy it quick. So we'll get some ends soldered on there, and we'll have our power wires going to the trunk. Also did get the We don't have the bleeder screws out anymore. Got the bleeder screws out. Once I get this back in, we'll get some fluid in there and probably just let it start gravity bleeding to the back, and then I'll run to work later, grab my vacuum, and we'll start sucking fluid through. Alright guys, I've never tried crimping these on with a fencing pliers, but I thought I might give it a try. I usually just solder this stuff. These cables a little smaller than I was expecting, and they don't fit quite that tight. That would be quite a lot of solder, so we'll probably try to do a little bit of a crimp to start with. And I don't have any black heat shrink. I wasn't planning on running a ground cable. When I was looking for cable to go back to the trunk, a set of battery cables was way cheaper than a whole piece of welding cable. Okay, that looks kind of trashy. I don't know if we'll do that anymore, but I don't really want to put a slit this way because I'm not sure if my heat shrink would seal then. I'm not even sure if it'll seal now actually. We'll see what happens. Okay, we've got our cable ends made. This is a marine heat shrink, so we've got glue in there. I guess I like that I pay a little extra and get that sort of heat shrink for everything I do, but probably should have just kept torching on this stuff. I could have made it black and then it would have matched our cable end, but hopefully me and anybody else that needs to work on this is smart enough to figure out that we've got a black and a red cable. So we'll go ahead and get this strung through the car and ready to power up a compressor. Quick little progress update here. We have our hard lines ran through the trunk. I've got little fittings like this, elbows, bulkhead elbows I guess, a 3/4 inch washer on top of them sitting in there, and then eventually I will run hard line from these down to these. I believe this, I don't know if the camera's going to show that. This is where our sending units for our pressure are hidden back here. Not really hidden that well, but I will practice doing some bending of hard line and try to get lines ran from each of these. For now, I'm just going to run plastic line because I'm anxious to get this thing moving. But underneath, I have the lines ran, and then I'll angle these as necessary. Also have the drain ran through here. So I'll keep working on her today. There's our airbags just hanging yet. battery cables that aren't quite installed, but we'll go up through the floor of the trunk once I get some grommets that are the proper size. Hey guys and gals, not much has changed in the last couple of months. Been fairly busy at work and just trying to finish up some stuff on this. The Galaxie is currently sitting, or has been for a while, where I like to have my tractor sitting, especially during the winter, which it's getting close to being. You can maybe see my breath, I don't know, but I was working on some wiring the other night, trying to get excuse me, the gauges wired up in the car, but the 64 wiring, which is almost all original, and the temperatures that we're dealing with ended up in a lot more broken wires when I was trying to strip them and put my wiring in. So I'll finish that up. I have about 2 more wires to hook up. I did put a fuse panel over there. We'll get better shots of all of this once it's completed, but I'll get a few more wires hooked up here and then we'll give it a rundown. Maybe do kind of a startup type video just to see what all I did right, what I did wrong, what I should have done better. So we've been consulting original wiring diagrams here, which I've found diagrams that I use at work now, both Ford and industrial, agricultural, much better than what was available then. So as you can see, the car's in a bit of disrepair here, but we have some power cables going back to the trunk. Sorry for all the people that have OCD and can't handle this, but hopefully it'll function the way it was designed. According to the, I guess I can't complain about Ford's schematics. Mine are not that great either. Alright, no seat in place. Wires still hanging down, going over to our fuse panel. But we have our master switch in here, so we're going to see what happens. Now let's see, that is ignition. In theory, if I flip the switch, our compressor should come on. Except that it didn't. So I'm going to have to go consult a wiring diagram and see what we need to do here. We do have gauges though. I also have an electric fuel pump running off of ignition, so our battery will not last long if we keep doing this. In theory, our compressor should be powered off of, let's see, this wire here should have ignition power. Our switch should be telling it that the compressor, that the tank is empty. Should turn this relay on, which should give us compressor power. We'll do a little troubleshooting here. Ah, I have it. We have, well, for one thing, we have no light here, but we have no power going to the trunk yet. I think that is the solution to why our compressor does not run. Okay, we've got battery cables hooked up now. We'll go give this another try. I'm not going to let the compressor run long right at the moment, assuming it runs, just because the car hasn't ran in 2 months. So I want to get it running before we really start taxing the battery here. We have a compressor. So, time to finish up a few air lines and see what it will do. Alright, that's where we're going to cut this video off. I do have something. Alright, that's where we're going to cut this video off. What you don't see is that the compressor runs very well, it just does not compress air. So I have a new compressor here. I did buy another tank at the suggestion of some other fellows with Galaxies that I maybe didn't have enough capacity. So we will have hopefully 2 compressors in the future, 2 tanks, and it'll be going up and down in the next video under its own power. Right now I'm just using a Schrader valve and got the thing up, and I did get it into the garage where it's heated, so that's an improvement, I guess. And then we'll finish things up and get our next video out soon, hopefully. Thanks for watching, and check back for more updates.